Hey guys, it's Nelly. Welcome back to my channel. I am on my way to go and get coffee. I just dropped my dog off at the groomers. So hopefully when I see my little Fin in a couple of hours, she'll be all fresh and clean and nicely cut because she looked a mess. In any event, sorry I haven't uploaded any videos. We've just been kind of everywhere and doing a couple of different things, but I'm here now. So, welcome back. I wanted to kind of talk about Nicu Awareness. September, as we all know, is Nicu Awareness Month, and all of my children were in the NICU when they were born, but Taty stands out the most for Nicu Awareness Month. She was born at 28 weeks, for you guys who don't know, and she was just like, I need to make my entrance and I need to make it now. So to backtrack with the story, Taty initially wanted to come out at 24 weeks. And I was put on medication. I had to give myself injections. I had to be on a contraction monitor for an hour during the day, and then again an hour at night. If I had any contractions during that moment, I would have to drink water, lay on my side, and get back on the monitor for an hour. And for somebody who's never given themselves needles, like, that was just mind-blowing, okay? Like, to have to inject myself with a needle that gives me, constant medication that goes through to help with the contractions, I was, like, losing my mind. Like, you want me to do what? But it was either I learned how to give myself injections so that I can get constant medication, or I had to stay in the hospital all the way until it was time to deliver her. So I would have had to stay in there for weeks. I wasn't doing that. I don't like hospitals. I've never liked hospitals. As a matter of fact, I cried because I had to stay in the hospital when she was trying to come out the first time. In any event, at 28 weeks, nobody can stop her. Taty decided she wanted to make her grand entrance, and there was nobody that was going to stop her flow, okay? Taty came out 28 weeks. She came out September 23rd, weighing 3 pounds, 8 ounces. And don't get me wrong, because I know that there's a lot more babies who come out a lot less than what she came out, but she was still a preemie. Like, she was like this big, y'all. Like, she could fit inside of a shoebox. Like, she fit like in the palm of my hand. Like, not even the preemie Pampers fit her. Like, that's how small she was. She was the tiniest little thing, the cutest little thing, but her lungs wasn't fully developed. There was like a couple of different things going on with her, so she had to stay in the NICU unit. Right after she was born, she went straight to the NICU unit. I don't know if anybody else knows what it's like to not even be able to see your kid and hold your kid, and right after birth. Like, all of my children right after birth had to be rushed. Like, it was like a quick kiss and they had to be rushed to the NICU unit, and so I never had the opportunity to lay my kid on my chest and just had that bonding moment when they first come out. I've never had that opportunity. Anyway, so yeah, my baby was like this little tiny little thing, and so she had to stay in the NICU unit for a month and a half. It was so many things going on with her, at the moment, and because she was so premature, she couldn't fight off a lot of things. So when we finally got her home, I would go every day. And keep in mind, I had toddlers at that time. Izzy was 4 and Elijah was 2, and Taty was just being born. So I had to, like, wear myself thin at the moment. I was being pulled in like 50 million different directions. And I would go to the hospital and see her every day. I didn't do breastfeeding because it was too much for me to have to get everything, up there at that time, or be there at a specific time, because I had toddlers at home. So I did what I could. And then finally was the day, that I was able to go and pick my baby girl up and bring her home. When I brought Taty home, she had to come home on a heart monitor. Because, she would stop herself from breathing when she was sleeping. Various other things was going on at the moment, which is why she had to come home on a heart monitor. She also had to be given caffeine because her heart would slow down. So I had to give her caffeine to make her heart rate speed up. She was also asthmatic. So she had to be on a nebulizer a couple of times a day. So yeah, that was my baby girl. And she fought her way through that. Long and hard, she fought her way through that. So when I say I have fighters on my hands, I have fighters on my hands, and all of them since birth. Well, that didn't stop the show for Taty. She came home for all of 2 weeks maybe, and I was like, at work, and her grandfather, kept her for me because nobody else would keep her because of her heart monitor. So nobody else was like, I don't know, confident within themselves to keep her. Everybody was like really, really scared and like, no, we don't want to do anything that's going to harm her. And I understood that completely. So her grandfather decided that he would take on that opportunity, that for me. And so I was very appreciative, because if he didn't, I wouldn't have had a job. I wouldn't have known what to do, because nobody would take care of her for me. And at that time, my mom was working, my dad was working, so there was really nobody else that can keep her, and I needed to go back to work. And so I guess from bringing her like in and out of the house at that time, especially when she was just released, like from being sick and ill, maybe that was too much for her, and excuse me, and she developed like a really harsh cough, and it was like a hard like chest cold, and I took her to the doctor, and it was like, it's not really much we can do. We just kind of got to wait it out. We can't give her no antibiotics, we can't give her no cough medicine, she's too young for that. And I understood that. So I took her back home, and maybe later on that night, like the cough was like, I don't know, y'all know when y'all get a hard chest cough, like it hurt, like it really hurt your chest. Like that's how I felt for her. Like it was hurting her every time she coughed, and I was just like, she shouldn't sound like this. And I like noticed like there was time periods where I was like trying to feed her, and she was like as if she was gasping for air. And I didn't know what to do. So I rushed her to the emergency room. I called my mom, and I'm like, I need to take her to the emergency room. Something's not right. Like, I can't let her stay here like this all night. And we rushed her to the emergency room. And when she went to the triage, the nurse looked at me, and she immediately ran Taty back to the back. She couldn't wait, and she said, Mom, she needs to get inside right now. Like, she's gasping for air, she can't breathe. And I'm like, oh my God, like, during that time frame of me bringing her from one place to another, like, it was just really getting worse for her. And my mom was there. I am not the one, let me tell y'all right now, I am not the one to watch my kids get needles, okay? I cry and sob like a baby whenever they get any type of needles. I've always been like that. So needless to say, she needed to get an IV, and I just couldn't even sit in the room. She cried and I was crying. I had to go wait in the waiting room until they gave her her IV. My mom sat in the room with her. I could not do it. I was crying as if I just lost my best friend, okay? And so they decided that they were going to run some tests and see what was going on. Well, she ended up having RSV, which is a respiratory virus. And so she had to stay in the hospital. Again, I have 2 toddlers at home. I didn't even know how I was supposed to do any of this, what I was going to do. And so I had to go home to my boys and leave her at the hospital. And that in itself was heartbreaking. How do you leave, your 2-month-old baby in the hospital by herself? How do you do that? So that was like really, really hard for me to do. But in any event, I went to work the next day, and I told my boss, listen, this is what's going on. I need to go to the hospital. I need to be with my daughter. And she said, go ahead. You take as much time as you need. And I ended up having to file for family leave at that point. And I went to the hospital. And when I went to the hospital, when I got off the elevator, y'all, off of the elevator, I can hear my baby crying. I knew her cry. And I was just like, why can I hear her crying all the way from here? Like, there's nobody attending her. And then, so, like, it just put a lump in my throat. And I was just like, this is what happens when I'm not here. Like, these are nurses that's supposed to be taking care of my kid. And nobody's nowhere to be found. And I get off of the elevator, y'all, and I'm rushing. I'm rushing to the room. I'm power walking to the room. I'm there. I go into the room, and my baby is screaming at the top of her lungs. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I pick her up and I put her in my arms. And as I have her in my arms, y'all, she is digging in the sides of my neck. And you could tell that she's not able to breathe. She's having a hard time breathing. And I called the nurse in, and I'm like, she's been crying. I heard her the second that I got off of the elevator. Why is there no one attending to her? Oh, she's been like that all day. You know, we've been this and that. And I'm just like, okay, this is a no-go. Somebody has to be here to take care of her. Well, y'all, her heart rate was at a 220. And I'm asking the nurses, what's going on here? Oh, that's just because she was crying. She'll be fine. You know, this, that, and third. I'm no doctor. I'm not even a nurse. I don't have no type of skills, certificates. I can't tell you anything, but I can tell you what I see on this monitor. And I can tell you as a mother what I think is not right. And so we going back and forth. But, you know, her grandparents come up, and I got to go get the boys from off the bus. So I have to, you know, leave her for a second. She's with her grandparents, and I, you know, go take my boys where they need to go and back to, you know, my mom's house at the time. And I go back up there, and I sit with her, you know. Finally, I get her to calm down. She goes to sleep, but she goes to sleep in my arms. And that night I had to, you know, leave again. Now, I've always given my number. If there's anything that's going on, please call me. Do not hesitate to call me. I don't care what time it is. Y'all, I will be up at that hospital every single day. Okay? Just every single day. The boys were not allowed to go up there because it was the NICU unit. The only people that were allowed up there were the parents and the grandparents at the time. So the next day, I went to go see Taty in the hospital, and she was no longer in the regular pediatric floor. Now she was in the NICU unit. Now shit was serious. Okay? I just didn't know how serious it was. It just didn't even occur to me because nobody called me to tell me. As far as I was concerned, she was still, you know, okay. You know, they told me then that they had to give her the CPAP, which is the same thing that she had when she was born. That they gave her a CPAP to help her breathe. So, y'all, what I walked into, I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting it in a million years, okay? I walk into the NICU unit, and I look straight across, and I see this baby inside of this bassinet. And I walk to it, and I see a baby with all of these wires and everything, and eyes closed, and tubes down the throat. And I'm sorry, y'all, because even now when I talk about it, like, it gets me, because nobody can understand. You know what? People do understand what I felt as I'm watching this, because this is not something that I anticipated, and I didn't know anything about it. I just thought I was going to go visit my daughter. Well, y'all, she had tubes everywhere. And as the doctors see me standing there, and I am crying because I am just like, what the F? What the F? Like, and he says, are you mom? And I said, yes. What's going on with my daughter? And he says, well, mom, we had to bring her down yesterday. She caught pneumonia, and her right lung collapsed. And so they had to sedate her body and let the machines work for her because she was a preemie and her body wasn't able to fight off the virus. So the RSV turned into pneumonia and caused her right lung to collapse. And so they pretty much just, put my baby on life support. Y'all didn't even know. No one ever told me. No one ever called me. Nothing. So all of this was going on, and I had no idea. So, I heard then, Mom, she's not going to make it, She has an 80% chance of dying. She's not going to make it. And I crumbled. I went home and I cried and I cried and I just said, Mom, what am I going to do? They can't take my baby girl away from me. Y'all, I wanted a girl so bad. I love my boys, don't get me wrong, but I needed my girl. And I tried for my girl, I got my girl, and this is what was going on. And I just said, Mom, they can't. I need my daughter. Like, how did she go through all of this when she was first born? And, she came out of that only to go through this. Like, I can't take it. And my mom prayed with me. And she cried with me. And she prayed with me. And she said, my just going to be okay. The doctors don't have the last say. The Lord has the last say. And y'all, every day was something new. Every day was something different. Every day, was something. She went in the hospital. That was in November, December. So it was like right before Christmas, like maybe 2 weeks before Christmas. So at Christmas time, she was in the hospital. And every day, one day she would be okay. The next minute she wasn't okay and she wasn't going to make it. And, y'all, that was like the most trying times for me. And like it got to a point where we couldn't even speak to her. We couldn't talk to her. We couldn't touch her. We couldn't speak to her. We couldn't do anything because they didn't want her heart rate to go up. They needed her to just stay calm as ever so that the machines could work for her. So we were just allowed to stand there and not touch her, not talk to her, just stand there. So as days pass, y'all, one day I go inside of the hospital and my mom is with me, and I go in and my daughter is swollen from top to bottom. She is swollen. She looks like the Michelin. She looked like the Michelin. The tire thingy, the white thingy, the fat, puffy. That's what she looked like. And the stench that came off of her was just. And so I said to my mom, do you smell that? Like, what? Like, did she not get washed up yet? Like, do you smell what I smell? And she's like, yeah, I don't know what that is. Well, her body shut down completely. And so she couldn't go to the bathroom. So the urine was seeping through her pores, causing her to be swollen, and that was the only way that it can come out. So then they ended up having to give her a catheter. Y'all, my baby was hooked up to 7 different medications. She had a catheter. She was on life support for 2.5 months. 2.5 months in the NICU unit. Touch and go every single day. Okay? Like every single day. One day she was up, next day she was down. One day she was up, next day she was down. Like the doctors had me preparing for the worst. Mom, she's not going to make it. And I said, by God's stripes, she is already healed. My baby is going to get through this, and there's nobody that's going to tell me otherwise. Y'all, 2.5 months later, March of 2003, she was off the ventilator. Okay? They slowly winked her off the meds. But, when you are addicted to medications, when medications is running through your system every day, you go through withdrawals. So as they started taking her off medication, she was going through withdrawals. And so she would scream and scream. And they would have to give her shots just to kind of calm her down, you know? And little by little, she became herself. Y'all will never know. And to this day, I wish that I took pictures and, you know, videos so that you can see the things that I saw. But at the moment, pictures wasn't even a thought in my mind. I didn't want anybody to see her like that. But the more I think about it, the more I wish that I did, because she would have been able to see where she came from and how much she's grown and the fight that she's fought. Like, it was amazing. So she is my miracle baby. She is my miracle baby. So when I tell you I have fighters on my hands, I have 3 fighters on my hands. They all fought for their lives. Okay? All of them. And for that, I am grateful and forever thankful to God for sparing my children. And I know that it's a lot of people who are out there who lost their kids. And for that, I am truly sorry. And my heart goes out to you. And I thank God every day for sparing my children's lives. And then I look at Elijah now and, you know, everything that he's going through. And still I'm grateful. And I'm thankful. You know, like, I look back on life and I think about all the things that we've gone through in life. You know, me and my children. And I'm just like, God, we wouldn't have been able to do this without you. You know, like, we wouldn't have been able to get where we are without you, without your love, without your blessings. Like, thank you. My daughter would have been gone if it wasn't for God. Elijah would have been gone if it wasn't for God. Isaac would have been gone if it wasn't for God. You don't understand? They all got a story to tell. I got so many stories to tell. And all of them leave me grateful and blessed. But yeah. I'm sorry, y'all. I know this video is mad long. And I'm so sorry. But like I said, in honor of Nicu Awareness Month, I just kind of wanted to give you guys one of my stories. And Taty is the center of attention on this story, you know. She's just my miracle baby, you know. And I am forever blessed and grateful for that. But anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go and get my coffee like I was supposed to have done like 10 minutes ago. But it was great talking to y'all. Leave me comments. Subscribe to the channel. I will have so many more videos coming your way. But until then, you guys have a blessed day. Stay tuned.